I've got 1820 hours. That's 6:20 p.m. Arizona time. It's Thursday evening, the 10th day of November, 2022. And this is Chief Gordon Weiberg, retired, thankfully. All right. And we have with us James Kelly, Brian Kinter, Christina Grosch. Did I pronounce that right, Christina? You're muted if you're trying to talk.
Hey, I'm here. Christina Gross.
Gross? Okay. All right. I'm going to ask everybody to mute for just a minute while I go ahead and I want to give you an introduction here and ask you to make some decisions. Here's the deal, and I'm a straightforward, straight shooter, and I'm going to give it to you straight. Brian Kinter asked me to be a member of this group because I have certain management skills and have learned and been educated in how to structure and organize groups like this. I do not have a horse in the fight. You all have a horse in the fight right now, sometimes multiple horses. You've got battles going right now with and in the courts. I don't. I've been there, done that, believe me. I've got more scars and bruises on me from the judicial system than I care to admit. But be that as it may, I'm not in any current fights with anybody, and I am here to facilitate your group if you decide you want that. Now, there's a caveat here. Brian brought in what I call a shitload of highly qualified people. You're all brilliant. You all have a great deal of experience and education in our community fighting for judicial reform. You're all leaders in your own organizations and in your own right. That is a plus for the organization. It is also a minus for the organization. Brilliant people who have great education and great experience, which describes all of you, easily and quickly can become prima donnas. None of you are right now here in this group. But my warning to you, and that's all it is a warning. I have been a part of a lot of groups. Some of those groups have been successful, and some of them have not. The ones that have been successful were successful because they structured and organized themselves around a chair/facilitator and had a mission statement, had objectives and goals. Those that failed, and usually failed miserably, didn't do that or didn't abide by what they had set up. And Brian and Ira, if he were here, could both attest to the Law Project, NAFOIA, the NSMB, which probably several of you have never even heard of here. Those organizations worked their asses off over the past really about 10 years now, that one way or another they've been working together with these individuals. About 10 years. What do we have to show for that, Brian?
Oh, we got a whole lot of education of what we know that doesn't work, Chief.
And that's true.
Join the meeting.
Yep.
We've learned a lot in that way. That should be Star, I believe, is coming in. We've learned a lot, and that's true. We've gotten a lot of experience, a lot of training, and a lot of ideas as to what works and what doesn't work. That'll be Star coming in, I believe.
Right.
Star,
So
can you
one of
hear?
the,
Let me just confirm. Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Okay, one of the things that I want to confirm with you, Chief, is that one of the problems is that, like you had stated when you first started off, is that there is a lot of very, very intelligent, articulate, brilliant minds on this call here tonight, and we never want to diminish that. But one of the things is that if James Kelly takes, and if I say to James, hey, I want to do this, and James says, no, you don't want to. Why is that? Because I've already done that, Brian, and it didn't work out very well. Okay. I don't need to waste my time trying to dig in and analyze why it didn't work with him. All I know is that I trust James's decision and James's input, and the same goes with the chief, and the same goes with a number of others that are on this call here tonight, is that if they say, no, we're not going to travel that road because we have embarked upon it, that's where it's at. But I don't want to diminish anybody, because I know that myself, when I was working with John Gentry on the remonstrance, trying to get this thing through and stuff, and we were going to the U.S. Supreme Court, it's not my position or my role to say to somebody, no, that don't work or that won't work. My job is to simply illuminate that in this case it didn't, and you better have a backup plan so that in the event that it does not deter you from continuing the pursuit, so that we can obtain what we all seek, and that is justice.
The strength of a group like this, as Brian has articulated, the strength of a group like this is our shared experiences and what it is that each of us have been through that the others can learn from. And that takes a certain amount of trust, a certain amount of confidence in each other. As Brian says, that if Brian says, we did that and it didn't work because of this, then we understand that. And everybody accepts and understands that.
Right, but then I want an argumentative reason as to why somebody else thinks that it will change, and not say, well, we have a different administration, we have this or we have that. I want concrete evidence from a legal standpoint as to what has changed. If there's been a change in the law or something that would cause me to want to move in that direction, then I would. But the other side of the coin, Chief, that I want to make sure that we illuminate here too, is that, listen, we're all going to piss off each other too. And the chief can attest to the times that him and I have had a number of challenges over the last 10, 12 years of our life and our conflicts with one another and stuff. But whether we like it or whether we don't, we are where we're at today. And we must all come together if we're really going to bring about that change. But if somebody feels that they don't want to work with us, or that they think that their ideas is the right approach and they're more adamant on that, we fully respect that. All we ask is that we are allowed and afforded the opportunity to continue to have an open and honest dialogue of what has worked and what hasn't worked. I'm never going to say to James Kelly, oh, you're an idiot, don't go down that road, don't go down there and pursue it on, cameras in court and stuff, because I think that's a prerequisite. I think it's one of the crucial elements that's missing in society. We can find a man anywhere, put a man on the moon, but yet we can't have instant access to this stuff. But, if I was to say that to James, I know that James and I have enough of a reputation and a rapport with one another that James isn't going to sit there and say, well, hell, I'm never going to talk to you because you didn't embrace my idea of going to after the courts for cameras. Okay. I was saying at the time, it wasn't something that I was pursuing. What I'm pursuing is trying to get into Congress. And yet I think all of these other elements are a prerequisite and they're necessary. I think that we have a huge battle ahead of us, a huge monster with a lot of different tentacles and a lot of different approaches. Just like Star had illuminated the last conversation that we had, was that, you know, we've got all these different ideas and things, and it's formulating them so that we can put them into pen to paper. James will do the writing on the briefs or on the petitions or the remonstrance, however we classify it, whatever we do. And then it's our job, my job, to try to get it across to Jim Jordan's, to the Ron Pauls, the Rand Pauls, you know, the different people. And I think Connie would be instrumental in that factor. But we also have you there, Christina, doing a lot of the legal research and a lot of the data collecting. Every one of us play a role in the body. The body doesn't function if your spleen's not working right, your body doesn't work right. If the kidneys don't work, it doesn't work. But that includes the ass, and I'm always the ass. I'm just here to clean up the mess. And I'm saying, you know, James can be the tongue, Connie can be the tongue, I don't care. But all of us have to take our minds and become one so that we can continually focus on what is the proper remedy for us to get a redress for all of our grievances. That's the objective of this group.
And if I can, well, that's going to depend on the group, isn't it, Brian?
Absolutely.
That will
Well, that's
depend
my
on what
objective,
the
Chief.
group wants to. Yeah, that's what Brian is postulating as what he wants is the objective of the group. That may or may not mesh with what everybody here wants in this group. And that's my point, is Brian started this group, but this is not Brian's group. This is everybody's group. If
Amen.
you each decide that that's what you're going to do. Now, there's a couple of points there that we need to go over fast. Brian's talked about critical thinking is one. You're all critical thinkers, or you have the ability to critically think. If I'm on this board helping you, facilitating you do this, I will require and push you to critically think. That's what you have to do. And that's why when somebody like Brian says, and I'm not knocking him, but he and I go back a long ways, Brian says, well, this is the objective of the group. Well, maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. And that's what I'm going to raise my hand and say, wait a minute, this is the structure of the group, the organization that either you select that you want or you don't. Now, there's 2 points there real quick. Everybody here, other than me, has their own horse in the fight. You've got your own case and your own trajectory where you want to go with things. You've got a personal one that you're dealing with. And then I ask that you consider the group objectives, whatever you all decide they to be up there in priority as well. I'm not going to ask you to replace your personal priority with the group. I know that doesn't work. I'm not going to ask you to make the group number one, because your family and your personal struggles are going to be number one. But if your personal struggles and your family and your fight right now is your only priority, then you have no business in this group, because you have no room in your life for this group to be another priority. The group doesn't ask to be first priority, but it does ask to be a priority in your life. If you can do that, then you can work together as a group. If you can't do that, then it's not going to work. The second point that I would make there is this, and this is the, oh, now we see James, and this is the last thing that I'm going to say. You all have a horse in this fight. I do not. I know I'm mixing my metaphors, James. For that reason, I am here to help facilitate your organization, mission, objectives, and all that stuff. If you choose that you're not going to do that, if you choose that you would rather continue kind of flying by the seat of your pants and doing your own thing and roundabout, and well, everybody's going to do this and everybody's going to do that, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. That is your right. and I will exit stage left because I'm not a part of that, because that's your battles, your struggles. And if you don't want organization and you don't want structure, then Gordy with the organization and structure will go do something else. I have nothing to add to this group if it's not organization and structure, because I don't have my own trajectory. I will facilitate if you choose that road. I will facilitate this and direct where this group goes, depending on where it wants to go. And I am purely a, order type of guy, structure type of guy, function type of guy. And that's what I'm about. So when I ask you as a group, you need to talk about it. You need to think about it. You need to decide whether you want to engage me in facilitating that your group or not. If you do, then you do. Then you subjugate yourself to the group, not to me, but to the group. If you don't do that, then I will wish you good luck and say goodbye. And I'm sorry to say, my opinion is you will each go your own separate way, and somebody may have success and somebody may not. But as a group, it's going to be very difficult for you to be successful with group mission and objectives if you're not organized and if you're not structured. With that, I'm going to shut up and let you guys talk about it.
James?
Yes.
Okay, you want to lead us off here on, we're talking about Cash's case, but I think that you agree that, do you or do you disagree that we do have to have the structure?
Oh, I agree.
Okay,
I
second question. Okay, second question. Do you agree or disagree that our best or what appears to be one of the remedies or an avenue for us to pursue is Congress? Do you concur with that or not?
I do agree with that, yes.
Okay. And to you, Christina, on both counts, do you agree or disagree?
I agree with that.
Okay. Star? Is Star muted, Chief? Chief, did I lose you?
I see that she's muted and Chief is muted. The only people not muted is me, you, and James.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, you're unmuted now. Okay.
I'm trying to get Star
Okay.
unmuted. Star,
Okay.
you're muted if you can hear us.
Star 6.
Okay, I'm unmuted, finally.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Did you hear the questions that I posed?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I apologize for being late. I thought we started at 6, so I apologize. And to
That's quite
answer
all
your
right.
to answer both of your questions, I do agree we have to have structure. I do agree with pursuing Congress, but in pursuing Congress, we have to do it very strategically on, what would be the core issue that we target first, and, like a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. So, yes, I agree with you.
Okay. All right. Well, we didn't get Connie to join us. I don't know if Star, if you could send her a message. I'd send her a message. On Facebook and on her own personal phone. I tried to call her on her cell phone. I sent her messages to her cell phone, tried to call her on her home phone, and I haven't been able to. And I talked with her an hour and 40 minutes ago now, and she did tell me that she would be on, so that, I'm a little concerned. And Ira did not make it in. Is that correct, Chief?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I'll send her a message right now.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you,
So,
Star.
I'm sorry?
I was just thanking Star. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. So, James, I'd like to find out from you, what do you think that the remedy is? How do we do it? And as I said, after this call, I would like to have an opportunity to talk with you after this call as well, because we do need to talk about economics. We do need to talk about freeing up your time. We do need to, I'll bring you up to speed on all the people that I've been talking to, trying to raise liquidity so that we can get this across, because I hear everybody saying, oh, we can do this, we can do that. But I don't see anybody really putting the effort into trying to raise the finances to put together a team that their main focus is coming in with laser type precision to be able to analyze what the problems are and then building an argument around that that's undeniable, so that once as we take it to Congress, if we don't get relief there, while simultaneously submitting it out to the general population of the global world so that they can see the atrocities and give them reason to pause and question and scratch their head and say, where do you go when you're in these types of situations? So, James, I would like to understand from you what you think is the best protocol, and what time frame do you realistically think it will take for us to get this pushed so that we can move in those directions?
Can I just stop for just a minute, James? Brian, are you going to be the chair here?
I have some questions too.
Well, you're
Okay.
you're-
Chief,
Brian,
I think I'd like you to be the chair.
well, my point is we haven't yet got a mission or anything, and we've got side talk already. You're talking to
Okay.
James about it. If you're going to be the chair, then you're going to be the chair. If not, then somebody else is. So do you want me to be the facilitator?
I'd like you to be the facilitator, and if there's something that I'm missing or that I'm not doing right, I want to be reined in and stuff like that. But I think that we need to first establish, before anybody makes a determination whether or not they're going to stay with this and stuff, if we're all going to be on the same thing, because if not, this may very well be our last call, Chief, because we need to figure out, do they, A, believe that we have to have the structure, and or A, and then B is that, do they believe that Congress, and we have everybody here, I think, that confirmed that they thought that this is one of the approaches that we should be traveling in. And I just would like to understand their methodology as to how we're proposing to get there.
Well, I'm just wondering why we're jumping the gun to get there right away, when you've already put forth one objective to go to Congress, or one methodology for that.
Okay.
If the group accepts that and wants that as the mission, then that's the mission. If it accepts that as one of the objectives that we're going to do, maybe there's others. I've heard a lot of others here from other people as well.
Can I cut in for just a tiny second?
Sure, Christina.
Okay. So I think where I got confused is I thought that we were talking about the structuring of a group in its entirety, and then the conversation went straight to us answering 2 questions, and then straight to, you're going to call James later and nobody's been doing anything about the economics or the finance. And that kind of threw me off a little bit. Because I have about 97 pages of documents of research that I've been doing, even though I've had my own personal things going on the past couple of days. I haven't, been not doing anything, or, I just want to throw that out there.
Please don't take it personal. Please do not take this.
Okay.
Please do not take it personal. What I say is that I'm looking at the overreach here of 15 years, and I hear a lot, but I don't see a lot. And I think my thing is that one of the things that I shared with the chief the other day is the frustration of the passage of time. And one of the big things is that with the people and the passage of time, they were saying, well, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. So we tried to minimize those reasons and rationale. And I'm saying that when I took in today, I was on the phone with an attorney for over 2.5 hours talking, and I say, don't talk stupid to me, okay? And act like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but I'm not going to take and jump into a car and say to James, I need to get to Florida. And the next thing I know, I'm up in Canada because James decides to take the scenic route to get me to Florida. Okay, I want to know the most effective, direct route to get me to Florida. I don't have a lot of time. I'm an old man and I get older every day. So when I talk and I do these things, that's why I love the chief, because he keeps me grounded. He keeps everything moving. He makes sure that I stay on target and stuff. But I want to make sure that this is not a personal attack to you or to anybody else. I'm telling you, my personal history is that I've seen a lot of people, I've listened to a lot of people, but I haven't seen anyone come across. We talk about Cash Jackson. I was on the phone with Cash the other day for a couple of hours. And as I said to him, all these supporters that you have and stuff, and yet nobody thought of, hey, let's put this thing out there, whereas we can have James Kelly do a brief summary or upsert on all of the information that's going into Cash's case. 15,000 people that follow Cash right there. They ought to be able to kick in $1 a month, $1 a month. I don't know about James,
Brian,
but I think that would probably change his income. Yeah.
Brian,
Yep.
everybody
Go ahead,
hold
Chief.
on.
Yep.
Everybody stop for a moment, okay? Because this is deteriorating into a rant and an emotion-filled meeting, and that is not where you want to go. So back up a minute, slow down. I'm well aware of where we've been for the past 15 years. I've been there for 45 years now, and I know what we've been able to accomplish and what we haven't. And one of the reasons that we don't accomplish is because we make decisions from the emotional side of our brain instead of the intellectual side. So everybody take a deep breath and let's try to stay focused on what it is we're trying to do. Let's not jump ahead and let's not get emotional, okay? Okay. Number one, is there a consensus in the group to accept me as the facilitator, or are there any objections to that?
I agree to that.
I'd say that you should set as the chair, putting the meetings together, making sure everything's right, and being the facilitator.
Any objections to that?
I
James?
agree, and I have no objections.
I saw the mouth opening, but I didn't hear anything. Okay, Star,
Yes,
any objections?
no.
Okay, all right. The next thing then for us to do is
You didn't ask
determine,
Christine.
Brian,
I agreed before
Yeah,
you.
you didn't ask Christine. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I agreed.
Yeah, she agreed. All right. So everybody agrees that I'll be the facilitator / chair / asshole, whatever. Okay. So the next thing that we do is determine what is this group here to do? What is the mission of this group? What is the mission statement? Now, I want to use an example for you just so that we can think about what it is that we're trying to do here. And I'm going to use the NSMB, some of the NSMB mission that we had for that. Now, the first thing to do then is, as far as the mission is to say, we are here broadly to do what? Now, Brian, you've been talking about some methodology, but what is it that you want to accomplish with this group that you formed?
What I hope, or what I envision for this group, is to be able to collaborate individually and collectively, to be able to raise a reasonably articulate argument to Congress as to the need for an oversight committee of the judiciary independent of a card-holding member of the bar.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? Any responses to that?
Yes. I would agree with that almost in its entirety. However, with respect to a committee, I think it needs to be we the people, as the grantors, that have the right of oversight upon the judiciary, including the individual right of impeachment. And it's only in this way where the individual can initiate impeachment, as has been done once before, that we can truly have oversight upon the entire judiciary.
Okay, so Brian, you have any problem with that?
No, I don't. And when I say that, when I say the independent oversight committee, I think that what we need to do, though, is that we need to illuminate when we get ready to go to Congress, how exactly, what does that look like? They can't revisit every single one of these cases. But what I am saying is that you can take and you can put it together just like they do the Court of Appeals. You can have an independent body of laymen that's made up. And if those people draw the conclusion that this case merits review, that it's almost like the second look, you know, that they have in Chicago and stuff for these crimes, or New York and things, and getting it done before these atrocities are committed. And then when a judge or a prosecutor steps out of bounds, that there's redress to hold them accountable, to get them off of the bench, to stop this abuse from continuing to proliferate. You know, it has to stop.
Okay, so let's stay focused on the mission now. What do we want as a mission statement? Because we're going to have to write this down and vote on it. Okay, that's what we do with this. So, Brian, with James' input, and let's pause there. Anybody else have any input for the mission statement beyond what Brian and James have already given?
I have a comment on that.
Please, go ahead.
I would like for the mission statement to, if we keep it as simple as possible, and our focus would be towards judicial reform. I really feel that we should also, and I go back to what we should do is break it down into, well, we're speaking about the mission statement. So let me stay focused on the mission statement. And when the other topics come up, then we'll talk about the other. But yeah, I think judicial reform.
Exactly. And Stars made a good point here, is let's keep the mission statement simple as the mission. In other words, this doesn't include the objectives yet. For example, if I'm going to the store to buy groceries, my mission is I'm going to the store to buy groceries. That's it. That's my mission. The objectives are going to be, I'm going to buy milk, I'm going to buy cheesecake, I'm going to buy milk, and I'm going to buy cheesecake and all that good stuff. That's my objectives. What is my goal? My goal is that when I leave this store, I have everything I need to sustain me for the next 12 days or whatever. And that's how we want to break it up. The mission is a very broad statement as to what we want to do. Now, we don't want to make it so broad as to say our mission is to fix the judicial system. No, that's too broad and it's too expansive. And think, for those of you who have dealt with projects at all, think about scope creep, because that's real easy to get with this mission statement exercise. So Stars brought in the term judicial reform, which is huge for you, I should think. somewhere in your mission statement should be judicial reform. So Brian, do you want to restate your mission statement, or do you want to leave it the way it is, or how do you want it?
I'd like to have an opportunity, if I could, Chief, if I could, try to regain my composure and grab some, have 24 hours or so to take and make some notations and write it out just as we did with the NSMB, if that would be permissible.
By all means,
Mhm.
if you guys, the best way to do this would be to go through all of this, come up with some ideas, and then take, a day or two or until the next meeting, and then go over it all. At that time, massage it, get it all right, and vote on it. If you do it all tonight, which you can do, then you're very likely to feel rushed. We're missing a couple of members as it is, and I'm sure we want their input as well, if possible. So I think it's a good idea to go on with this, get the mission, objectives, and goals, and work through as much as we can so that each of you have some things to go back with and cogitate until the next meeting. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds reasonable.
Okay. So, Brian, I'm going to ask you then to kind of work over your mission statement, and you and I could talk about that. I think James had some important points there, and I think Star had an important point there. Does anybody else have anything else to add into the mission statement?
I believe I might
think-
have a suggestion, but let's
I'm
hear
sorry.
Christina.
I really love the word reform. I think that that's a bold word. I think it explains just in the word alone. I mean, everything that we all may have our own horse, but in the big picture, reform and restore is, really, I think everyone's purpose, everyone's goal to reform.
Okay, go ahead, James.
I did put something in the chat as a suggestion for a mission statement, and it's very simply to address Congress in order to facilitate meaning judicial reform.
Okay. Okay, so Brian, there's some more verbiage, which is good for it, for us to think about. And I think one thing we need to do, and I don't have it in front of me right now, I'll have to get it, is take a look at, you remember what we did with the NSMB
I do.
and the mission statement and all that in there? That was real useful, and you may wish to take some of that, because we can kind of speed things up a little bit in that way. How about if I do this? Because we've been on an hour already here. And we've talked a lot, but we need to accomplish some stuff. Why don't I will dig up the old NSMB mission, objectives, and tasks that we made there. And I will email those out to all of you. It's only food for thought. I am not suggesting that you take that word for word. Some of it may work for you, some of it may not.
Try to keep this going because I got Cash calling in. I'll be right back with you.
I understand. So the more that I can give you that's already done, it may help, rather than reinventing the wheel if the wheel works for you. So we'll see what parts of that perhaps may work, and we can use that.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Okay. So as you all have been speaking, and I had committed to give an outline an executive summary today, and of course, I keep getting distracted. However, can I just briefly read to you what I thought as a suggestion of a mission statement
Sure.
to the group since we're here? Okay, just, and I haven't finished it out, but it's just some quick thoughts. The title of our group, of course, is the Judiciary Reform Commission. And I'm saying this commission is an independent organization within Congress where taxpayers are experiencing state economic harms due to unlawful detainments of self or loved ones, economic harms induced by state employees, prosecutors, or judges gone rogue, while the states receive federal financial assistance in the form of block grants, HUD grants, and other types of federal revenues. And so that's just a real rough draft. And what I would like to do, like Brian suggested, is to also then submit, give me a couple days to work on getting the wording together. But again, I think we could define our group as the Judicial Reform or Judiciary Reform Commission. And give me a couple days, and I will get. I would say I could have it better written out to you, and I promise I make a commitment by Monday.
Well, and keep in mind, Star, and you and I can work offline with it too. We want to keep any accusations of anything out of the mission statement. It should all be positive. It should all be about what we are going to do and not about what somebody else has done.
Put 2 words in the chat that stick with me a lot and remind me a lot what I'm doing. Sometimes when I'm like, what am I doing?
Okay, you put in awareness and accountability, Christina. We got to move along with it. Okay, I don't want to take a lot of time to stop and mull stuff. Everybody should see that in the chat. 2 good words. You may or may not want them in the mission statement. You may or may not want them in the objectives, and we could talk about that. Anything else you wanted to put in there, Christina?
No, I really, I think that where we're all going, I think it's going to end up great. I think definitely not making accusations in the mission statement, even though Star, I wish we could just post that on a billboard. But I think judicial and reform and awareness and accountability are just all, all where we're going with Congress.
Okay. And Star, I would just point out that if we call ourselves a commission, then we have to be able to say and support that we are commissioned by somebody higher.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
Well,
at least there's a consensus on the 2 words judicial reform. Hallelujah.
yeah, that's not a problem.
We have broke ground.
And we want to keep it short. The mission statement should be 1 sentence. It can be several clauses, but 1 sentence in there. And then the objectives will delineate the detailed things that we want to do in support of that mission. Does that make sense? I want to make sure that we're clear on what it is we're trying to do with the mission and what have you, because until you get that set, you can't do anything else. Because if I don't know that I'm going to go into the grocery store, I may go into the pharmacy. And I'm talking to the pharmacist, I'm getting all this shit done. It has nothing to do with our mission. So that's why we want to focus on what the mission is once we decide what that is. One word I would offer, James, that you might want to think about, address might engage be another possibility?
I like that.
The reason I say that is address is basically saying we've got to sit down in front of them and talk to them. I think that's what we want to do in the end. I think that's one of our objectives I would offer, is that we have a portion or all of this group that's going to sit down and testify to the Judiciary Committee or somebody like that. I believe Jim Jordan is going to be if they take the House, Jim Jordan will be the chair of the Judiciary Committee, I think. And if that's the case, I know he's already got some agenda in mind. And this actually fits in there pretty well. If we can get in there in the next couple of, several years. We need to put a time frame into the objectives and possibly even the mission. To put in there, the who, what, where, when, why type of thing. For example, my mission as Gordon Weiborg, a single narcissistic person. There's Connie coming in. Is to go to the grocery store and buy groceries in order to sustain myself as to what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Okay. We should have Connie, are you in? I think she's on the way in. For those of you that have come in late, or a few minutes late, whatever, we have recorded this entire meeting. I encourage you to, watch it and see what happened at the beginning of the meeting to catch yourself up, because quite frankly, I don't think any of us want to go over it all again. We should have everybody except Ira now in, I believe. And Brian, are you back in?
I don't expect him to be back in if Cash is on the line. At least
Yeah, I
not
think
in
he's
the
still on the phone.
near future.
Yep. Okay. So where we're at right now is we've mulled a couple of mission statement clauses here and there. Brian
Connie
and
said,
I,
hold on 1 second. Connie said in the chat, hold on 1 second, her speaker's not working.
yep, okay.
I'm sorry.
Can she hear us? Can you hear us, Connie?
And now, thank you.
Okay, okay, welcome. Again, for those of you who have come in now or late, we've recorded this meeting. I ask you to go over it. I'll post it in the group on Facebook, and you can watch it so that you can get caught up with what the group has decided earlier in this meeting. Because we really don't want to go over it again. We're actually just about ready to end at any rate, I think. So we've gone over the mission statement to an extent, and we've mulled some objectives as well. I've asked Brian, and I will work with him to go over the mission statement and come up with a couple of drafts. I've committed to email out to you the NSMB mission statement objectives and tasks, which we worked over several meetings. And I think it was really well done in the end. And hopefully you'll be able to use some of that. I will get that out right away, tonight, tomorrow, as soon as I find it. And then you can decide what part of that you want to use or what part you don't want to use. The wording that you put in this evening, you know, Christina, James, Star, with her novella, is pretty impressive. That's good work. That's a good start. We'll get the mission in so that everybody can agree with it as the group mission. That does not subjugate what you're doing personally, but it should be up there as a priority in your life. If the group mission is not a priority to you, then you shouldn't be a member of the group. It's that simple. Okay. Any burning questions before we go on setting the next meeting and the agenda for it?
Yeah, so on my notification said November 10th, 1800 Arizona time, which would be 8 o'clock in Tennessee, which is also what Brian believed. That's why I'm logging on now at 8 o'clock.
We started at 1800 Arizona time. What time that was for you? Your Eastern
Well, you know what
time?
happened?
Go ahead,
Our
Star.
time changed.
Well, what happened with me is that I was just doing a test just to make sure I could get through on the phone line. And, but I thought here, California time, the meeting would start at 6. And so when I found that you all were live, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm now late. I'm like 20 minutes late. So I get what Connie's saying.
Yeah, because your clocks went back and Arizona clocks don't go back. So we started at 1800, which is 6 o'clock p.m., of course, Arizona time. Now, if you want me to in the future to work out the clock differences and put that in there, I can do that. I left it to everybody this time. Star, yes, I'll do that. I will do that from now on. I will put in there the time for every friggin' time zone in the world. No, not quite, but so that we're all here, or at least you know what time it's going to start and can, you know, be here. We can make a genuine effort for that. Okay, I've heard no burning questions other than the time. Good question, Connie. And I will take the responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen again by getting the information out to you. And I'll check with you, Star, and make sure. Okay. For our next meeting, going into that meeting, you will already have some drafts of the mission statement that you can look at and cogitate over. You'll have the old NSMB mission statement and objectives that you can look at that should be of some help. And what I would like to do is be ready then at the next meeting to discuss those, come to a final vote of what the mission is going to be. And then once we have the mission, we can easily go down the objectives and have those set by the end of the next meeting so that the mission, the objectives, and the tasks are all set specifically by the end of the next meeting. Any issues with that?
No.
Okay. All right. For the next meeting, does you guys want to look at weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, or how do you want to do it?
I think that right now, just with everything that we're trying to get figured out and accomplished, we should do weekly.
Okay, Christina is suggesting weekly. Any other thoughts to that?
I'm suggesting bi-weekly. I just can't do weekly. I mean,
Okay.
but just because I can't do it, I can always go back. If you decide to do weekly, I can always go back and look at notes and whatnot. So the 2 weeks works best for me.
Okay, of course, 2 weeks from today is Thanksgiving. So are there any objections? Now, we're asking you to do a lot before the next meeting. So I think, even though I'd like to go weekly, I think probably 2 weeks would be better for you, to give you some time to go over this stuff, talk about it amongst yourselves offline, and come back well prepared at the next meeting for what you want to do. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I'm also wondering if I just create a Google Doc and just share it with everyone having the ability to edit it, can we also maybe use that as questions, thoughts, ideas, opinions, whatever, conversation throughout the week? Or
I'd rather have that in a chat group somewhere where I could read it and things like that. And I think the Google Docs ought to be kept for legal documents and what we're proposing to do through Congress or any other remedy. That's
what I mean. Like for regarding the pleadings or the remonstrance or any of the things that we're thinking.
Now keep in mind, all of that stuff, I wouldn't spend any more time on any of that stuff for now, because your mission may or may not include those. You may have a personal mission to do something there, and that's cool, and that's fine. But whether the group adopts that or not is going to be up to the group to vote. And of course, as the chair, I do not have a vote on that, although I'll have a tiebreaker because there's 6 of you, I believe. And I'm number 7.
I do have a request.
And
go ahead, James.
If it's possible, with respect to our thoughts as we progress towards the mission statement, perhaps we could start a thread on that Facebook.
Sure. On the Facebook group.
Sorry about that. If we could post it on the Facebook group, this way we're all able to just go in when the time is available to us.
Sure. Understand and agree. I'll, as soon as I can get back into the group there, Brian.
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk to me and tell me how to do that, Chief, because I honestly, like I said, I don't know, and unless my daughter's here, okay. I don't know. I had to call her the other day to get me in through Google to do what Christina just talked about, Google Docs.
Not a problem. I can work with you. It just takes a minute.
Okay.
And James' idea is good. We'll do that. We'll start a thread on there, a post and a thread specifically for the mission statement. In fact, if everybody can get to that, instead of emailing this shit around, why don't I just post the other mission statements and tasks and objectives there on the group, where everybody can get to it and we can comment. You can see each other's comments. Let's do that. Let's make that group then the live thread for the mission statements, and I'll throw the NSMV stuff on there.
Brian, Gordon, I just invited you to that group. So Brian, you don't need to worry about that. I just invited you to where all you have to do is accept the invite on Facebook.
You're not an admin though, Christina.
It lets anybody invite. I just
yes, you
invite.
can invite, but okay, I got it. Brian, I'll work with you to make me an admin.
Okay.
Because you can do
and then
that.
You can talk me through that.
Yeah,
okay.
I made you an admin.
I want to apologize.
Go ahead.
Okay. But Chief, yeah, I want to apologize for having to jump out, but that was Cash Jackson calling in from the jail, and I don't really have the luxury of being able to dictate when he can call and when he can't call, you know. So I want to
know-
apologize for that, but that is one of the reasons why we're here. So,
No apology needed. And we're now setting the next meeting date. I would suggest that those of you who missed anything of this meeting, I will post the link for this recording. It's all been recorded. I'll post that on the group. And I would highly recommend to you that you watch it from the beginning so that you know what the group decided or not. And it brings you up to speed then on it.
all right, thank you.
Sure, not a problem. And the whole thing's been recorded and I will do that. I made Brian an admin to the group so that he could make me an admin to the group. Let's see how that works. So we want to look at 2 weeks for the next meeting. 2 weeks from today, of course, is Thanksgiving. So we want to go before or after that, obviously. How about the weekend after that? Do you guys do better on the weekend or during the week?
During the week is probably going to be better.
Weekdays are
Okay.
better.
Okay, is today the 10th, Chief?
Yes.
How about in 10 days? How does 10 days look? Because I think 3 times a month is better than, you know, twice a month. I mean, if the 20th would be conducive, because everything's changing and it's changing so rapidly and so quickly, you know, I think it's imperative that we keep,
Understood.
you know.
Star, can you support 10 days?
Well, 10 days would be on a Sunday.
Yes.
I try not
I-
to
Or Monday.
do much on Sundays.
Monday?
Monday would
Understand
be
and
better.
agree. How about Monday, the 21st?
Okay.
Any objections to
Okay.
Monday, the 21st?
That works for me.
No.
Okay, that sounds fairly, Connie, are you okay with that? We've got,
Connie made it in?
well, yeah, we've got her picture. Here she comes.
I think so. I have some deadlines that day, but I think that'll be okay. It's also Thanksgiving week, so
Yep.
but we can put that down.
All right, so let's plan on same time, and I will put the time zones out for the evening of Monday, the 21st for our next meeting, okay? Everybody good with that? I will also put
Yep.
the agenda on the group as to what we want to accomplish by the end of that meeting, okay? Now, for the last thing of this meeting, is there any urgent matter that we have as a group that we need to deal with before that next meeting?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Yep.
to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Take care.
We will go off recording at 19:23 Arizona time.